And Minister, thank you for coming here to take this issue. And I must say that, on a personal level, you're deeply invested, I know, in addressing the questions of direct provision. This is not an either-or. I think, Minister, you have shown that you're deeply committed to resolving this problem, and I think also to ensure that there is a compassionate response to an appalling human tragedy. And I have to say, I'm extremely proud of the approach that the Taoiseach and the government have taken at European level of being to the fore in ensuring the toughest possible sanctions are being levied against a war criminal, a thug, somebody who does not respect international law, and the strongest possible supports that can be made available are being made available to our Ukrainian brothers and sisters. I want to focus, Minister, and I appreciate it's slightly outside your remit, but in terms of the humanitarian support, will be questions around education and training provision, and I think there are a number of questions we need to address. I know our education and training systems, our universities, our colleges, our schools are looking to respond in as best a way that they possibly can, but it is going to present enormous challenges. We are going to require, in many cases, a lot of English language supports being made available, and this will be both to children and young people, but also to adults. We are going to need support systems being put in place for those children who come in here, bringing them into our education system, remembering that many of them will have experienced trauma. If you think about a young child, he or she spending time in a school with their friends and suddenly being removed from that, being brought thousands of kilometres right across Europe, and they're coming into a very different school environment where the language and curriculum is different. So it won't be just about finding the school places, it will be about the additional supports that are going to be made available. There are challenges then, I think, with regard to higher education and research that I know, and I would hope that they are in the process of being addressed. This will include Ukrainian students who are in higher education or training programs. When they come to Ireland, will we be able to recognise their qualifications? Will they be allowed to finish their courses here? Will there be the necessary supports in place for them? What is the situation, and we still require clarity on this, the situation, for instance, for Ukrainian students who are already here in Ireland? The decision to effectively recognise students from the Ukraine as EU citizens is the correct one, but obviously now there are Ukrainian students here who have already paid non-EEA fees, and that anomaly in some way needs to be addressed. We also have a small but not insignificant number of Irish students who have been studying in Ukraine or Russia who have now come home, and we've got to look at some ways to allow them to be able to finish their education and training. So I would hope, Minister, that in the supports that we're providing, we're going to be able to address some of that. I think one other issue that we do need to address is around Russian and Belarusian citizens who are based here. It's about ensuring that in no way that ordinary Russian and Belarusian people are being blamed for the activities of their autocratic leaders. Because certainly, and I think most of us who've spoken to anyone from Russia or Belarus who are based here in Ireland, they abhor what is going on in their home countries. And I think it will be important in the discourse that we have that we don't in any way be seen to discriminate against those people who have made Ireland their home. We've spoken in this House quite often around Belarus and around why Lukashenko, quite frankly, needs to be removed, but it's ordinary citizens who are leading that fight. So for ordinary Russians and Belarusians, we need to ensure that as part of this campaign, that support is put in place. Can I finally mention, Minister, and I know my Wexford colleague Brendan Howlin has also raised it, that there are now significant additional pressures being placed on Rosslare Europort, and I know the government has made moves to address some of those. It is important because local resources, they're doing their best in terms of the Gardaí and Customs and Immigration and everyone else, but it will need significant supports if the numbers that anticipate arrive through the report.